Hiring a boudoir coach, is it worth it? Part 2. Well, you've made it this far watching part 2. Hopefully you watched part 1. So you're at least entertained by the idea that it's worth it to work with a coach. Or you're waiting for some crazy plot twist, which may happen. I don't know.
We'll see.
So in part 1, we talked about using flash versus natural light and giving direct posing guidance versus letting someone just kind of do their thing. So moving forward, what are you excited to work on after we made that transition from natural light to flash and after you see posing as shapes now?
Yeah, I think I am most excited about just really working on intentionally shooting and just making sure that like each shot by itself is like slam dunk, right?
Yep.
I probably won't get it right away. Like I'll probably still have a few that go in the garbage can, but really making sure that like as I shoot, I feel really confident about each and every photo instead of it being like a crap shoot at the end.
A machine gun of firing. Yeah. Again, that takes time.
Yeah.
I still do that on shoots also. I have my go-to poses that I know are going to look good for everybody, but I always try new things at every session. I even use my own book as a reference in my shoots, which is one reason it's an actual paper printed book, because I don't want to be sitting there on my phone or tablet scrolling through things looking like a jerk while my client's like, what am I even doing here still, you know? It is cool to be like, hey, I have this book. I'm going to flip through it and let's get an idea for another idea. And it'll literally just pop open to a page like, cool, haven't done that one in a while. And we go through that as some inspiration. And I'll tell my client, like, you know, I'll get an idea for a pose. I've never done this one before. You want to try something new? And they're always on board to try something new.
Yeah.
And I'll do, 15, 20 versions of that one pose. And it may or may not work. But either way, I still try new things. It's okay to not be perfect every time. But you will get your like tried and true ones that you can nail with every single person, and you can do them in your sleep. Like one of the ones we worked on yesterday, the laying down diagonal with the head on the arm. I moved my lighting during that pose from side lighting. I lift it up and shoot down at 45 degrees. And because my light's on a boom arm, it's not just raising the light stand. I have to raise the light stand, twist the arm, rotate the thing. It's an ordeal. I'm telling my client how to do the pose while I'm adjusting my light stand. I'm not even looking. I've just done this so many times. I'm like, cool, lay down with your feet and your hands there. And I'm doing my thing over here. Okay, cool. Now make sure your head is laying on your arm because it never is. Now take your top knee and move it over. And I don't even have to look because everyone does it the same way. And then by the time I'm done, they're already in the pose. So you'll get to that point as well where you know exactly how people respond to your direction and how to move everyone through.
Yeah, like even yesterday when you were telling me, like you were posing me so that I could then pose them. You're like, your head is not on your arm. I thought it was. I was like, what? It's not? Oh my gosh, you're right. It's behind it. Like I totally.
Yeah, you were like.
Way back there.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, it's not? Oh, that's so weird. Like you don't even know like what your own body's doing half the time. You're like, oh, I did not realize that that is what I was doing.
Like when we were telling our model yesterday to part her lips.
Yeah.
Did we ever say it once, or did we have to tell her 3 times? Part them more, a little bit more, because she thought she was doing it, and like her mouth didn't even move.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But in her mind, she was like mouth all the way open. Yeah. So things like that, you learn how people respond to the direction. But I don't know that we could have given it any better, because you can't say part your lips a lot, because people don't know what to do with that. Right. You know.
Yeah, you have to give it in those little step by step. I think that's super true.
Yep. And you were picking up on that as well as you were telling her to do that. And the breathing in and out, take a big breath to relax.
Yeah.
Things like that. And then guiding them through. So you pick up on the cues, you learn the signs, and you find that everyone does the same stuff. And you can just fly through everything. It's a pretty cool feeling. So what was your biggest takeaway from yesterday?
I think my biggest takeaway really is kind of being able to work with someone else. I've done this. I've been a photographer for over 13 years. I think 15 years now. But I've never I've always considered myself like an amateur or like not a real like professional. And a lot of it's because I didn't feel like I had the skill set to be like, okay, I want to be professional now. It's like, okay, I'm just going to dabble because I'm not good enough and I'm not quite there. And so if I stay here, that's like the safe zone. And I maybe would ever make like $1,000 a year, like Christmas photo shoots because my friends called And so that was it, right? Like
Yeah.
that was as much as I was willing to dive in. And so this has been fun because it's like really allowed me to feel like, okay, maybe I could do this. And not just a maybe I could, but like I can do this, right?
Yeah.
Like this is something that's very doable. And so I think that was nice being able to work with a coach because like we said, you spend time or money, but I've spent a lot of time and haven't gotten to that point. So 15 years is probably way too long. It's just easier. I am a big fan of hiring out what's not in my genius. And so
Yeah.
being able to have someone giving you that direct feedback really does just make things go so much faster and get better so much faster.
Right. So the model we worked with yesterday, you have already done a boudoir session with.
Yeah.
So it's not even like somebody who had more experience or less experience.
Right.
You've done her only 2 boudoir session. Did it feel different?
Yeah, I think it felt different in the fact that like there was a lot more, like we said, control over the light, a lot more intentionality, a lot more attention to detail because I never like switched out my lens before, right? So just being able to like pick up on those little details, I think she's going to find like a big difference and result.
Totally. And just the way that we worked the rooms.
Yeah.
Like with the bed. She knelt on the bed, she laid in the bed, but then towards the end, in the spicier photos, when she was like lounging up against it with her feet out, that's like not a thing that just comes naturally of like,
Right.
that's how I'm going to pose somebody. Or like with a bathtub, right? You put somebody on or in the bathtub, but some of our best ones were like sitting next to the bathtub.
Yeah.
You can scroll through Instagram or Pinterest and you can spend the time. Or if someone's next to you who's posed 1,000 people, they can just like, that's cool, but do that there instead. And it just changes the way that you see the world. And like you mentioned, I see everything in lines and shapes. I can't not see that now. It's just how my brain works, but I've trained myself to do that because it's easier for me to look at somebody as lines and shapes while I'm posing than it is to think, okay, in that one, does the elbow go out and the hand up, or is it the other way? I don't memorize poses. I don't need to because whatever space somebody occupies, I can move them into aesthetically pleasing shapes. I can pose better than I can talk sometimes. And that's why it's in this book. And I'll put the graphic up on the screen. This is what I see when I pose people. It's all these lines and shapes, these triangles. And because this is how I pose, we can crop that in 10 different ways and shoot that in 10 different angles. And that's 20 different images we have just from this one pose. That doesn't even consider facial expressions, the lighting, wardrobe changes, anything like that.
Yeah.
So you don't have to memorize 100 poses to get 100 unique photos in your session if you just start looking at people in a different way.
Yeah, love it.
Sweet. Well, I'm stoked for our next one.
Yeah, me too. This is fun.
So, was it worth it? No pressure?
Plot twist, guys. I know you were wondering, but for sure. Absolutely. Worth every penny, worth every second.
Awesome. I needed that for my own soul. So if you're like, that's cool, Mike, how do I get on this? Well, one, pick up the posing book because this is basically a posing course like it is working with me, where I walk you through how to change the way you approach posing, my philosophy, the actual tactics and strategies behind it, and 160 different poses with exactly how to put somebody in the poses. And if you want to work with yours truly, you can reach me through boudoirguild.com, mike@boudoirguild.com, and we can chat about getting you trained in the ways of Mike Lloyd Studios. If I can help more people make a career doing something they love and empowering their clients' lives, that's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, but he might make you make a video about it.
I'm totally going to do it.
He's awesome. So there's a little bit of a risk attached.
Yeah, yours may or may not end up on YouTube, but it's for me. All right, guys. You're amazing. We'll see you inside.